I don't need to remember who played Glinda the Good Witch in The Wizard of Oz. I don't even have to remember that her name was Glinda, or that Nolan Ryan is from Alvin, Texas, or that Hubert Humphrey's middle name was Horatio, or that the S in Harry S. Truman's name doesn't stand for anything. Let's do a system-wide purge of my brain and free up some valuable cranial real estate for some new dopamine manufacturing plants. I'll gladly trade in my knowledge of Thurman Munson's career stats for the ability to walk a little better. That's that one. New York, the elixir. As you approach New York City from the air, it starts in Philadelphia. By train, it begins in Metro Park. By car, it's Newark Airport. By boat, Perth Amboy, New Jersey. I'm referring, of course, to the palpable adrenaline rush you get that surges as New York City comes into view and beckons to you. The brain responds in its own language, complete with axons, dendrites, and synapses. But it all translates to dopamine. The story of New York has been told countless times. And New York as medicine? Not too often. The tinkling of the piano playing, the first notes of New York, New York. The party line says that Liza Minnelli's version is trite, played out. It also says that Frank's is the anthem. Liza's is the inspiration. My neck starts to loosen up. Go down into the subway at West 4th, past the guy preparing to take a dump on the platform. Hurry. Look across to the uptown trains. Note the trio playing Take the A Train. Maybe they're students from NYU, or the New School, or maybe it's the reincarnation of the Duke himself. They're good. My train arrives, I shuffle to the platform edge and breathe a sigh of relief that I got in without any trouble. I get out at Prospect Park, suburbia, celebrate Brooklyn. Robert Plant is delivering the Zeppelin songbook with other musicians. Jimmy Page is great, but Billy No Name will suffice. The guitar riff can only mean one thing, whole lot of love. I ain't fooling. I'm walking with a purpose. Go to V-Bar, Matt's holding court with Paul and Ricky and Nate and Crystal, playing Ray Charles, Little Feat, Big Maybell. Then at 2:45, not 2:45, we hear Frank, so set him up, Joe. I'm dancing. Two more. You're going to have to serve somebody. Bob Dylan wrote, it may be the devil or it may be the Lord, but you're going to have to serve somebody. I think that a Dylan-themed restaurant would be fantastic. A rosy-cheeked 19-year-old college girl would come to your table and write her name upside down on your tablecloth, probably Amber or something, and say, welcome to Zimmy's. Can I start you off with an appetizer? Our nachos are positively forthright. With such a catalog of songs, think of all the Dylan-esque food possibilities. Maggie's Farm, fresh eggs. One more cup of coffee. Tangled Up in Blue, plate special. Girl from the North Country, fried steak. Of course, when you call the restaurant, a gruff voice would answer. It's a pensive, introspective, thoughtful, wonderful, loving, prolific, cloudy, sunny, rainy, snowy, hot, humid day at Zimmy's. Can I help you? All unintelligible. Of course, October 2011, Dylan is coming to Nova Southeastern University to play a concert. I didn't buy any tickets in advance. I was always a reasonable Dylan fan. I enjoyed some of the songs, but not all the performances. It is now 4 o'clock on the day of the show, and I'm in the school's cafeteria. There's a life-size cutout of Dylan by the cashier. I casually asked the cashier if she's excited about Bob Dylan coming to her school. You have to admire her honesty. She has no clue as to who Bob Dylan is. There is no mirror behind the register, but I'm sure that the look on my face, which usually bears a Parkinson's imprint, now looked like that of a bystander to a house fire. There are 4 people behind me in line, so I do my best George Gallup imitation. I ask them, does anybody here know who Bob Dylan is? 0 for 5. Now I'm on fire. You don't have to like Bob Dylan. You don't even have to know anything other than Blowing in the Wind or Like a Rolling Stone. But you do have to know who he is, his contribution to American culture, or even if it's just the fact that he's the father of the guy from the Wallflowers. Bob Dylan should be an answer to a question on the naturalization processing application. I'm still steaming from that day. On the way out of the show, my brother Robert and I were accosted by 2 college kids. Their pickup line failed miserably. Hey, you guys look like you've been to prior Dylan shows, which was code for, you guys are old. They wanted to pick our brains about how this show compared to others, and generally about music since the 70s. They didn't know that they just hit the mother lode. They also resurrected my day. We went to the school cafe, and for 2 hours, did our Studs Terkel imitation, providing them with an oral history of concert going from Sly and the Family Stone in December 1971 to Spoon in Revolution 2013. What began with the death knell of the end of our civilization ended with the hope that our few remaining curious citizens will lead the way. The show itself was a revelation. About midway through, I realized that my stiffness was gone. The vaunted Bob Dylan dance music was so infectious that I boogied away some symptoms. I now know firsthand that there is medical proof of the therapeutic value of music. This is a co-payment I'm happy to pay. Okay. The last one I'm going to read is called Why Me? This is a question I haven't asked myself, but let's play with this for a while. First, who would I be asking this question of? The picture painted when asked aloud is that of a George Bailey type with arms and gaze pointing to the sky and a non-denominational God. I'm not a very religious person, if religious means going to temple or church or mosque and following the service rituals. I was born into a Jewish home. We were conservative because that was the temple closest to our house. Reconstructionist is the wing of the religion that holds the dogma closest to my beliefs. There isn't a big throne in the sky holding a man with a long white beard who is looking down and pulling strings that move us like marionettes. The rabbi explained to me God exists in all of us through the good deeds that we do. So following this rationale, God has bestowed upon me this disease with the supposition that I will be able to turn this huge negative into a positive. The ability to empathize with the disease-stricken and take the fuel that is given to me through music, humor, and everyday personal interactions and turn it into at least one smile is truly a gift that I cherish. The scientific answer to why me is appealing to the logical accountant part of me. My mother has it. My genetic profile shows I have a high chance of getting it. I'm a member of the Ashkenazi Jews, a group with an elevated risk of getting it. Everybody gets something. I got this. If I've been cursed with the disease, I've also been blessed with the resiliency to press on undeterred, and for that I'm grateful. The cause of the disease doesn't even matter, whether it's divine intervention, genetics, or environment. If I have the ability to ease suffering by telling a joke, or playing a song, or just waking most days with a smile, that's a gift I'm proud to have and must put to use. Though it took 50 years to know that I have it, there's no expiration date. Now that we've played, let's see the facts. The pleasure I get from somebody telling me that I'm inspirational is fabulous. The pleasure I get from my children cuts to my soul. Maybe, just maybe, it's no coincidence that both of them are world-class musicians. God certainly works in mysterious ways. Thank you. Thank you very much. Anyone want to ask me a question? I'm happy to answer it.
What is your big challenge going forward, and did it impact your ability to account and your accounting abilities?
Yes, it has affected my ability to land a job more than do a job. I've been on interviews, and as soon as I say that I have Parkinson's, you can see the eyes glaze over. Even though my abilities are 90% of what they were, and my stamina is 100% of what it was, that they don't want to hear anymore.
And what is your challenge going forward?
To stay 2 steps ahead of the disease. You know that sign in your rearview mirror that objects may look smaller to you than in real life. If I can stay in front of it, that's all I could ask for, and maybe the cure will come up behind me. It's like Richard Pryor. Remember, he burned himself with
Yeah.
all he could do was run. Well, that's all I'm doing. Any other questions?
Was it true that you could dance at Bob Dylan without any stiffness?
Yes,
or?
it is.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, it was all of a sudden. I mean, Bob Dylan, obviously, it's not like going to a disco. Dancing was what Billy Crystal called the white man's overbite. I could do that again.
What's your favorite Dylan album?
Tangled Up in Blue, because my favorite song is on there, which is "You're Gonna Make Me Lonesome When You Go." Anything else?
I read that people that ride a bicycle, did you read about that? Their symptoms go away. I'm thinking about the same thing with dancing.
There's proof that the passenger seat on a tandem bike is therapeutic. more so than the first seat. They call it forced exercise. Your need to keep up with the guy in front of you, which explains my New York references. I spent a decent amount of time over the past couple of years in New York City, and I thrive there because I keep up with the pedestrian traffic. I stumble here, if I get wide open, and with a good fast pace going, I'm good.
One over here. Do you consider Dylan to be viewed as a songwriter or as a singer?
I'm sorry, do I consider myself?
No,
Yeah.
Dylan.
Dylan,
Him?
a songwriter, singer?
Yeah,
Both.
like do you more of a songwriter
Of
or
course,
more of a singer?
more of a songwriter. But he recently published an article, well, he was interviewed for AARP magazine. They talked about his singing. And he said, why do people get down on my singing so much? I mean, it's noted how everyone says he can't sing. He says, no one says that about Tom Waits or Leonard Cohen or Dr. John or anyone with a gravelly voice. So he's got a point there.
How old was your mom when she was diagnosed?
Older than, I got it before her.
Oh, really?
So she was about 75.
Really?
How does it affect you being in a jacuzzi, a hot tub with just water?
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, swimming, does it?
I'm freer in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The jacuzzi was great.
So you don't have the.
I don't have a tremor. I have more rigidity in my neck, and a shuffle in my gait. But it's the craziest thing because I could shuffle to the street, know that I'm shuffling, say to myself I'm shuffling, not do anything about it, and then sprint across the street.
How long has this been going on?
8 years.
For 8 years?
Yeah.
That's pretty good,
I'm
though.
doing good for 8 years.
Yeah, yeah. knock
George
on
from
wood.
the National Parkinson Foundation. And I think I'm as far as 8 years goes, I think I'm doing pretty good.
My dad had Parkinson's, and I remember one time when I was helping him get out of the car, and
That's hard.
he got real stiff, and I said, "Come on, Dad, just move your leg." And he said to me, and excuse my language, "Michael, if I could move my fucking leg, I would move my excuse my language." And I will never ever forget that.
Well, I said
And
what I
it's
tell
the
you.
truth. It's the
Sometimes I have to say, pick up your fucking feet.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're shuffling. I know I'm shuffling. But you have to, sometimes you really have to actually say it.
How do you think, you keep on saying you have more stamina. I would have thought the opposite. You know, when you think about people with those kind of difficulties, it would take more energy, so you would have less stamina. How do you?
I have no reasoning why, nor am I going to ask too many questions
No,
about
but
why.
you do. But I'm saying, but that's you're not.
No,
What
it's
do you?
also takes a lot.
Well, I've always been an energetic person. I've always been late to bed, early to rise, so that hasn't changed. But I find two things interesting. One is, perhaps I even have more stamina. Number two, and there's recently been some things written about an increase in quote unquote creativity, where the people with the disease become more creative. And I never wrote a book in my life. The most writing I've ever done is a birthday card. So this is it was a great thing for me to do, and for that I thank it.
Alan, what's next?
What's next? I continue to scour the Facebook feeds about things that are happening in the medical profession. I saw that something pretty remarkable happened in Maryland, where they use an ultrasound, an MRI, excuse me, to basically do away with the tremor in one woman's leg. So I just keep on top of things and see if any of them apply to me.
What is that?
Research. Yeah, stem cells.
We've been
gene
doing a lot of
therapy.
research.
Yeah.
Been doing a lot of research.
Take your head up off the microscope, please.
Doing a lot of research.
Yeah,
Is it a neurological?
it is progressive, yes.
So is it,
It's
there's some
a-
disconnect from the brain?
No, it's a loss of It's a loss of dopamine. Yeah, we don't know why, but it's
Dopamine
loss of
is like
you
is a greaser of the
You take a pill that it kind of puts it back. Yeah. Kind of.
But it's different from Alzheimer's. It takes over your body. Where Alzheimer's just works on your brain, this takes over your body. And that's what we need to fix.
Also, no two cases are the same. So
My father never had trouble.
no.
Never.
I think there's two kinds. I think I think the fact that I don't have one now, that means I'm not going to get one.
Well, you look at Jana Reno, or
I think she had one to start.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox.
yes, they do
Yeah.
they work hard to hide it.
Sure.
What are the two kinds?
One with tremor, one without tremor.
You meet in a group of other people, or
Yes, I go to a support group. It's a young onset support group. It's very tricky about picking the right one because I went to a support group soon after I was diagnosed, and it was mostly people who were 25 years older than me, far more advanced than me, and it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
So I didn't go
Probably more
back.
depressing too.
So I didn't go back until I found one where my demographic was. So we're all in basically the same level of the disease, and it's become a social thing as well. So it's very good.
Is there a test to know if you're predisposed?
Not a blood test, but they have a scan now that can tell you that if they can see the loss of dopamine. Yeah, which is pretty new. It's only been around the last year or so.
heard
Yeah.
But they can also tell genetically, can't they?
No.
Because I know the head of Google,
Mhm.
he's taken, his wife used to do with genetics, and he found out that he has the gene for
But
Parkinson's
it doesn't
too.
indicate you'll get it. It just means
Right, but I mean the high
Parkin-
probability, so he's now doing a lot of research in that area of Parkinson's because he figures that, you know,
That's what it
especially-
takes. That's what it takes.
No,
It
but
takes
it's
for
so-
somebody to
But
have.
I'm just saying, it's so, in that case, it's good, so he doesn't
Oh,
have it yet, but he's spending all these millions of dollars in doing
Is it-
research.
Well, I was
Passed down
diagnosed
from
after.
moms or dads or.
No, it's we don't know yet. We don't know yet. Yeah.
I was
Still
diagnosed
unknown.
after Michael J.
Yeah.
Fox. And all I can say is he brought so much
Oh, yeah.
attention. And I really regret, I feel bad that Robin Williams did what he happened with him because he could not have been a better spokesman if he would have put him behind the disease.
Yeah.
He couldn't be a better spokesperson than him.
Yeah.
Could you talk about some of the symptoms that people, like your loss of smell and your loss of
That's true. People know about the tremor.
things?
Yeah.
There's things that are less visible, but almost as frustrating. My ability of ordering things, of logistics, multitasking, sense of smelling.
Is that you lost that gradually or all at once?
Gradual.
in retrospect, can you see some indicators that at the time you were not aware of, but after the diagnostics you said,
Absolutely.
wow, I noticed it, but I didn't know what it was.
I probably had it for a year prior to my diagnosis. I had trouble getting out of a chair. I went to the gym. For some reason, I wasn't lifting as much weight as I used to be. I said, oh, I need to go to the gym more often. So it took actually a work colleague to say to me, you must have really hurt your arm because it doesn't sway when you walk. I had no clue. I didn't even know.
That's usually the
Wow,
first
that's a good-
I didn't know. So I go to the doctor and he says, you need a brain scan. I said, what are you talking about? That was the furthest thing from my mind.
I think the first thing was my dad was the shuffling.
Was what, shuffling?
The shuffling, yeah.
I shuffled after.
He wasn't lifting his feet.
Right. It was also, I looked depressed.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. It was like, when Judy was saying, cheer up, I said, what are you talking about? I'm cheerful.
On the inside.
I'm so happy you can't believe it.
So that may be a result of the muscular facial expression that people think that you are not happy, or
Yeah, they think I had a stroke. They think I'm a drunk. I've been accused of a lot of things.
Wouldn't let him in line once to Saturday Night Live. They told him to get out of the line because they thought he was drunk.
Seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know Saturday Night Live. I knew it was going into the
Yeah.
club.
Yeah, a couple
But
times.
Saturday Night Live too.
Yeah. I said I was Justin Bieber.
But did you finally get in?
As
Oh,
Justin Bieber?
No,
You just have to explain.
because once you start talking, your face lights up. Also, it's two pronged. They understand that obviously I'm not drunk. I can formulate a sentence, but also your face, the mask goes away
Gets animated.
once you're engaged.
It's almost
Yeah.
like the cycling or that movement.
Right.
Once that movement starts, then you're like in gear.
Right.
You know.
What did you do when you worked in books and books?
Accounting.
Oh, really?
Sure. I worked there 10 years ago.
Wow.
I'm a professor of accounting, so I'm curious about the
And
accounting.
he's artistic, and he has no reason why
Curious
he's
about the accounting. Your
accounting.
accounting of
Correlation of
debits to the
accountants and
left.
Parkinson's.
And credits to the right.
how is your attitude towards accounting?
I'm happy to answer the question. If somebody says, "What do I do for a living?" I don't have to answer accountant anymore.
You can say a comedian instead.
Think about that.
Did you ever think about doing like stand up or something?
No.
Sit down.
Sit down, maybe. No.
Sit down.
I don't. The first tomato thrown in my direction, I'm in trouble.
So in the 8 years, have you seen a regression of?
The first 4 years was marked. The second 4, not so much.
Yeah.
I've been on the same level of medicine for probably 4 years.
The same
The same dosage.
4 years, you're taking the same medication?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal.
So I mean, all I can do is surmise that of why that is. Again, no one really knows, but I'm not going to change
It's
anything.
working.
Yeah.
It's working.
What,
Yeah.
excuse me, what about exercise?
Thanks. Because when I was first diagnosed by Carlos Singer, and he said to me, because I asked that question exactly that way, he said, "Of course, exercise helps, but it's not going to really affect the progression of the disease." The answer now is it does affect the progression of the disease, and I exercise now every day.
And what kind?
I go to a personal trainer where I do cardio, I do lifting, I do boxing.
That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get in the ring, but he has the pads on, but that's what I do now. And
How about swimming?
I go to the pool, but I don't like swimming. Yeah,
He's in the jacuzzi.
that's right. That's probably will get me progressing again.
See, that must help too. By looking at the ladies, it probably is moving something.
That's right. That's right. Movement doesn't matter
There's
where.
movement somewhere.
Do you do any yoga or anything like that?
No, I tried Tai Chi once.
So what happened there?
I know.
That
Too
was
slow?
once.
Too slow.
I had trouble following it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably good movement.
Yeah.
Probably have to do
Stand-
One thing that I know is great is spinning.
Same thing like the bicycle.
Because it brings together the exercise
Right.
and the music.
Same thing.
Yeah.
There is certainly, I use the one example in the book of the power the music has.
Yes.
I'll be at the gym and I do one exercise. I must have the right beat to it, otherwise it doesn't work for me. And I don't know if everyone's the same way, but I mean, I even have a mix on my Spotify that if I need a kick in the butt,
Right.
I put this on, and all of a sudden I'm walking faster.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, even music. Have you seen music makes you happier?
Yeah.
I mean, really, music that you love.
Right.
Music that irritates me makes me irritated, but music that you love really just improves your mood. And I just can see. I know in terms even with Alzheimer's patients that I've worked with, that when they listen to music, you can see those neurons, lighting up, and then they're more lucid. So I think there's a bit medicine in music. I think you go ahead and touch that.
Absolutely.
as well.
Anybody else?
How are your children, the musicians, deal with it?
They handle it very well. I made the mistake, I think, and I waited too long to tell them. If I had it to do over again, I would tell them quicker.
That's interesting. Who's that guy in CBS? He's on the Sunday morning show. He has Parkinson's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Bill Geist.
Wally Geist.
Bill Geist.
Yeah, his father.
Yeah,
And he does a great job, too.
No, but he
This
also
past Sunday did a great
right,
job.
but he also hid it from his family too. He didn't tell his kids to weigh into it, and it's interesting.
Well, very simply, I told my daughter, I said, it's not that big a deal, but she said it was not that big a deal. Why'd you wait so long to tell me?
Yeah.
So that was a mistake. You're just depriving someone of helping you.
Yeah.
And
And also of sharing that it's the
right, it would have made it easier. But I didn't. My reasoning was I didn't want to be a burden.
Yeah.
I didn't want anyone to treat me differently, generally. So now I'll tell everybody, because sometimes what happens is, and this is probably a good example and a good way to end this. Sometimes I'll freeze up. That's a common Parkinson thing. And if I'm walking on the street and there's two people like on a sidewalk, one talking to the other like this, I'm going to get stuck in the middle, and I do. And I just remember one time just saying to both of them, look to my left, look to my right, is that I used to walk a whole lot better than this. And they say to me, we all did. And it kept on going. And so 95% of the people are nice. 95% of the people want to help you. There's a couple of people who don't. But
How's your mom doing?
not too good. No, she's. I think the later that you get it, the faster it progresses. Is that true?
She
So
has
she-
a different type of Parkinson's. She has
MSA.
MSA, multiple system atrophy, which is considered. There's like a few diseases that are considered Parkinson's plus, so it's different than what he has. So
What is MSA?
multiple system atrophy.
Doesn't respond the same way to the medicine.
Yeah, well, yeah, that same thing happened with my father. I was going to say the progression in the medicine seems to be phenomenal with you.
Right.
But when years ago when my father had it, they were always trying to find something, and they could never find. And every medicine had something to do with the next medicine.
Right.
It was always fighting.
Well, they've been using the same medicine for 40 years
That's phenomenal.
for the most part.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
they
That's
really
great.
they really
So
have
maybe
it.
with Michael J. Fox and other things, there'll be more research. I don't know.
Yeah, there's plenty going on, and Brin, the guy from Google,
Yeah.
Sergey Brin.
Does it affect somebody that, like Muhammad Ali, that got banged in the head a lot?
He has what they call Parkinson's Syndrome, which is punch drunk, and it doesn't seem right because he was such a great champion that I didn't believe that he got hit that bad, but he did.
Almost like concussion.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you for coming.
Well, folks, if there are no more questions, just like to let you know that the book is for sale behind the counter. Alan will sit right over here and sign them for you. For those of you watching online, give us a call. We'll get a book signed for you. I saw you have a couple of glasses of wine in the cafe. Are you sure this is right?
I didn't have enough.
Folks, thank you so much for coming. The books are for sale behind the counter. Alan will sit right here. Let's give another round of applause for Alan.